Right now at 9, a local auto shop hosts a free class to help people learn some of the basics of car maintenance. Plus,
our next cold front working in will clear things out for Sunday, but it'll turn sharply colder as well. Fortunately, it won't stay cold for the entire week ahead. We'll start diving into the forecast coming up.
Joplin and Webb City hit the floor for the Kaminsky Classic Championship game, a rematch of last year's title game. Those highlights in sports.
The Omicron variant causing a staffing crunch at workplaces across the country. I'm Charles Watson in Atlanta. I'll have the latest coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Authorities have released the name of the victim in Friday's shooting in Jasper County. The Jasper County Sheriff's Office has identified the victim as 50-year-old Brian Smith. Now, authorities say he lived at that residence, and officials also say there will be no charges filed at this time and that an autopsy has been scheduled for Monday. Now, to recap, on Friday, deputies responded to a report of an altercation on South Malang Road around noon and found a 50-year-old man dead in the yard with an apparent gunshot wound. At that time, they detained a 75-year-old man for questioning. Cloudy, but a bit warmer. Nick Kelly joining us with the forecast.
Yeah, it certainly was quite colder for today, Chris. All thanks to a good storm system that rolled on through. Well, actually, I was thinking of the other day. What am I saying? We actually went quite a bit warmer today. That's what we're talking about. 52, believe it or not, after a cold start of 31. That's despite a lot of cloud cover, areas of drizzle, not picking up any measurable rain on the radar. I say that, but as long as our next cold front is finally beginning to work on through, we're not going to rule out, let's say a couple of showers along with the continued areas of drizzle as we go into the overnight. But that cold front will take us from midnight highs in the 40s to 31 tomorrow morning, and a cold afternoon with highs only topping out, afternoon temperatures around 36. Like I said in the open though, Chris, we're looking a bit warmer for the week ahead. We'll break it down in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. Well, if you were needing some extra help learning some basic car maintenance, Higher Power Garage was the place to be. The shop hosted a basic auto maintenance class free of charge. The class covered things like checking oil, service intervals, warning lights on your dash, and even how to change a tire, among many other things.
With schools not doing driver's education anymore, a lot of single parent families, things like that. Just seeing a lot of people that don't understand why you change the oil in their car, how to check the oil, how to maintain what's required to maintain their car.
Higher Power is hosting an all-women's class comprised of church members next weekend, and they're a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping people with transportation. The city of Pittsburgh has opened its burn site for 2022. The site is located 1.5 miles east of Rouse on Quincy. Officials say it's for tree limbs and brush only. No trash, landscape timbers, treated wood, or other items like that. And they say the wood must be in its natural form. Now, in case of inclement weather, you can call 620-232-PARK, that's 7275, for updated information on the site. The site is open the second Saturday of each month from 8 a.m. to noon. The Mount Hope Church of Christ coffee shop is helping raise money to send some of their students to a special event. Winterfest is taking place in Arlington, Texas, which hosts students from a number of churches nationwide. Junior and high school students at Mount Hope were working hard today to raise funds so they can get down there. Each student, in order to do that, needs to raise $140 to cover travel costs.
It's put on by Oklahoma Christian University. They have one in Arlington and in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. But yeah, it's a weekend event where we get to go and do lots of worship, hear some good teaching, and I think the kids are also excited about playing video games in the hotel. But yeah, we could go down there and have a good time with about 2,000 other people.
Now, if you didn't make it to today's fundraiser, you can contact the church and make a donation there through this upcoming weekend. Create and Sip Studio hosted a family paint event today. Today's theme was Man in the Moon and ran from 2 to 4 this afternoon. Parents could bring their little Picassos to help recreate the painting.
Today is our family paint. Instructing a fun little canvas that pretty much all ages and all experience levels would be able to paint through, and just having a fun time doing it.
Coleman says due to COVID, it's important to register online to ensure everyone can be seated comfortably. Hideout Harley-Davidson held a Law Enforcement Appreciation Day today. The shop invited local law enforcement and first responders from across the community to come out and enjoy a free lunch. In addition to the lunch, there was a nacho bar, by the way, for those first responders. And then they could also enter their names into a raffle drawing for a number of different prizes. Organizers say it's great to be able to give back to the community.
We have a lot of familiar faces, and then when we have new faces come out that haven't been here before, that are part of the local community just by word of mouth, it's great just to see anyone that maybe is not necessarily associated with motorcycles to be able to still come out here and hang out and enjoy anything that we have going on.
Now, next weekend, Hideout is hosting a polar bear ride. If you're interested, the ride takes about an hour and there will be lunch along the way. You can contact Hideout Harley-Davidson for more information. Well, the contagious nature of the Omicron variant means it's spreading rapidly, and that means more and more people are calling out sick from work and school, creating a staffing crunch at workplaces. Fox News correspondent Charles Watson has the latest.
As the Omicron variant once again pushes hospitals around the country to capacity, it's having the opposite effect on many workplaces as businesses and essential services struggle to fill their ranks amid a record number of call-outs.
Being such a small company and smaller employee base, it can be tough to lose just one person, even for 2 days, let alone a week or two.
The increased transmission of Omicron is causing more people to come down with cold and flu-like symptoms. In New York City, staffing shortages are slowing down trash and subway services, as well as diminishing the number of first responders available to respond to emergencies. The problem is worse at hospitals, where ICU beds are filling up, but the number of people available to treat patients is going down. Lines for COVID tests now stretch around the block in many areas, and even the people tasked with administering those tests are getting sick.
I've been standing up here for 3 hours now.
I kind of anticipated there to be a surge after Thanksgiving, but I don't think anyone was prepared for the amount of people that we've seen.
California has called in the National Guard to help staff testing facilities. At-home tests are flying off the shelves of pharmacies in the hardest hit areas.
I literally went through hundreds of them in 2 days.
The White House is finalizing a plan to send 500 million free tests to American households. The administration is hoping to start sending them out in the next few weeks. In Atlanta, Charles Watson, Fox News.
And we take this time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Staff Sergeant Henry Lettner served in the Army during World War II with the 14th Armored Division, his hometown, Columbus. We're proud to recognize Henry Lettner, tonight's four-state hero. Well, still ahead, the Supreme Court is expected to rule on a pair of vaccine mandates in the coming days or weeks.
Despite all the cloud cover and despite the areas of drizzle that many of you have seen on and off throughout the day, that did not change the fact that temperatures warmed up, certainly so compared to the other day where we had highs only in the mid-30s. We dropped back into the upper 20s and lower 30s this morning and pushed 51, 52 degrees at Joplin Regional. Again, that's an amazing, remarkable feat despite all the cloud cover that worked on in late last night, certainly early this morning. The clouds stuck with us today. Areas of drizzle at times, but not much in the way of measurable rainfall. Turns out the cold front hasn't picked up enough moisture yet, but as long as that front's still passing on through, we're not going to rule out some more areas of drizzle overnight and maybe a few showers. But once we get behind that front, boy, do we dry out, but boy, do we get cold for our Sunday to wrap up this weekend. Fortunately, 40s and 50s for highs throughout much of next week. And then sticking with Doug's pattern, I am watching another system by next weekend. That could bring not only rain chances, but maybe some wintry weather as well, something to watch down the road. But we just have a lot of cloud cover in Joplin and some mist around with a temperature at 50. Dew point at 49, so it's no wonder we have some areas of mist around with the west wind at about 6 miles per hour. Most of us are in the mid to upper 40s, north of 44, and then lower to middle 50s south of the interstate. But those numbers are going to drop quite a bit throughout the overnight because that south wind we had, which also aided in our temperatures warming up. Look at the northwest wind kicking in. That is the cold front that is ready to march on in. In fact, let me show it to you this way on the surface map. You can see how we go from a south wind to the northwest across the turnpike in Kansas. This is the front in question, ready to work on through and turn us quite cold for our Sunday. But we're getting rid of not just this upper level wave that brought in the clouds this morning, but we'll just have to deal with this upper low. Fortunately, that doesn't have any moisture with it, but that is also the upper low that will aid the cold front in making sure we end the weekend on the cold note for tomorrow. So here's how we'll go throughout the course of the overnight. The radar's not going to look exactly like this, but it's got the right idea. As the front rolls on through, maybe it picks up a little more moisture to keep areas of drizzle around, maybe a few light showers, but we'll go from midnight highs, most of us in the mid to upper 40s. We'll dry things out in general as we go into tomorrow morning, and eventually we'll clear the skies out as well, turning partly to mostly sunny, especially by the afternoon. But you see how those numbers tank behind the cold front. 31 in the morning, 34 by noon. Afternoon temperatures for most of us will be back in the mid to upper 30s, so quite colder for Sunday, but we're dry overall to wrap up the weekend. Monday we'll be back in the 40s, and with this upper level ridge building back in, this is really going to help temperatures out. Let me show you what I mean on the 7-day forecast. We'll go from 36 for tomorrow afternoon, 45 for highs on Monday with plenty of sunshine, 52 Tuesday and mid-50s Wednesday through Thursday. So we got a nice stretch of temperatures back above normal, Chris, before we see rain chances return on Friday, and that could maybe end as rain and snow chances come Saturday morning.
Well, naturally, of course, the warmer temperatures come during the work week, and then by the time we get to the weekend, it's going to be cold and bleh.
Yeah, we go from 55 Friday to 30s on Saturday, like clockwork.
Right, Nick, thank you so much. Well, coming up, some volunteers decided to dress up at a vaccine site on a day set aside for kids to get vaccinated. Czech volunteers dressed up as various cartoon characters at the country's largest COVID vaccination center on Saturday, as the center held a special day just for kids to get vaccinated. Volunteers dressed as Pikachu and Minnie Mouse, among other notable characters, and greeted kids as they showed up to Prague's Congress Hall to receive their COVID-19 shot. At least 1,600 reservations were made during this event, and it didn't stop there, as parents were also able to bring in their kids without an appointment. There went that thing. There was a thing down here, and there it went. A report says the Biden administration is nearing completion of plans for massive mailings of COVID at-home tests. Washington Post says the Biden administration will launch a website for requesting at-home COVID-19 test kits. The administration plans to send 500 million rapid at-home test kits to households across the country through the U.S. Postal Service beginning in mid-January. Kit makers and distributors have submitted plans to the government, and the Postal Service is negotiating with unions to extend its seasonal workforce. A bacterial outbreak in ground beef brings about a recall in store chains among several states. More than 28,000 pounds of ground beef have been recalled in several states under 4 brands. The recalled beef was sold in Kroger's, Walmart, Winco Foods, and Albertsons grocers. It's been recalled over possible E. coli contamination. The beef was sold in Arizona, California, Nevada, Oregon, Utah, Washington, and Wyoming. It has EST 965 on the label. USDA says the risk is high risk, and those beef products should be thrown out or returned to stores. The Supreme Court is expected to rule on a pair of vaccine mandates in the coming days or weeks. Their decision could impact as many as 80 million workers across the United States. Fox News correspondent Alexandria Hoff has the story.
The Supreme Court is weighing 2 vaccine mandate cases. First is one for employees at larger companies. The second applies to healthcare workers. For the first, Justice Sonia Sotomayor pushed back on the use of the word mandate, since employees have the option to test weekly and wear a mask. She, along with Justices Breyer and Kagan, indicated that they support the requirements.
More and more people are getting sick every day. This is the policy that is most geared to stopping all this.
On the other hand, conservatives like Chief Justice John Roberts questioned how much power such a sweeping requirement would give to the executive branch alone.
I wonder if it's not fair for us to look at the court as a general exercise of power by the federal government, and then ask the questions of, well, why doesn't Congress have a say in this, and why doesn't this be the primary responsibility of the states?
The 5 conservative justices seemed more receptive to a vaccine mandate for healthcare workers. Now, one concerning takeaway for many coming from the oral arguments were the false statements shared by Justice Sotomayor, who phoned into the hearing from her office.
We have over 100,000 children, which we've never had before, in serious condition, and many on ventilators.
That's not true. We have not had 100,000 children in serious condition in U.S. hospitals. According to the CDC,
the number is actually around 3,000, but according to the CDC, it's unclear how many children were brought in for other reasons and then simply tested positive upon arrival. The Biden administration is ready to implement the vaccine requirements next week, so a decision could come in a matter of days or even hours. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
Next on the KOAM News at 9, the infamous Disneyland Monorail is about to have the brakes put on for a little while. A once futuristic ride attraction at Disneyland will sit still starting later this month. The Monorail, an iconic attraction that opened at Disneyland 1959, gave riders a whirl around the park, won't be offering rides starting January 24th, according to its website. Now, no official reason has been listed, but some Disney officials say it's related to demolishing the AMC building in downtown Disney. No reopening date has been set. When it opened, Disney's monorail was the first daily operating monorail in the Western Hemisphere. For the upcoming King of all street parties, you may have to pay a king's ransom to get a signature treat. King cakes, a trademark delicacy for Mardi Gras, may be in short supply this year thanks to the supply chain crisis. That multicolored sweet brioche treat may cost you more because getting cinnamon, brown sugar, spices, oil, flour, and yeast, it's hard to get. Some suppliers are also having trouble staffing their bakeries due to COVID labor shortages. But your best bet, go to New Orleans. Local king cake suppliers say they're going to keep up on production. Chicago public schools will close to start the week as weekend negotiations with teachers press on. Classes have been canceled for 270,000 public school children on Monday, while Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot is insisting negotiations with Chicago Teachers Union must finish this weekend. The city and union dispute over COVID-19 protocols during the Omicron variant continued into Friday. The decision to close could, however, be reversed if a weekend deal is reached. Union representatives haven't said how close a deal could be. An appeals court has revived a shareholder lawsuit filed against Boeing after two of the company's 737 MAX jetliners crashed. Now, the accidents claimed the lives of 346 people over a period of 5 months and left the planes grounded for almost 2 years. The Seafarers Pension Plan filed a lawsuit alleging Boeing officers and board members made false and misleading public statements about the 737 MAX planes. A U.S. District Court judge had dismissed the lawsuit, but a court of appeals for the Seventh Circuit has now reversed the lower court ruling, clearing the way for the legal action to proceed. President Biden says the United States will overcome COVID-19 despite predictions from some health experts the virus is here to stay. As COVID cases spike across the country, the White House is also contending with a disappointing jobs report. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson has the latest from the White House.
Some medical experts think the silver lining with this new Omicron variant is an immunity boost. President Biden thinks things will get better despite a record-setting number of cases nationwide.
No, I don't think COVID is here to stay. That having COVID in the environment here and in the world is probably here to stay. But COVID, as we're dealing with it now, is not here to stay. The new normal doesn't have to be. We have so many more tools we're developing and continuing to develop that can contain COVID and other strains of COVID.
That's not what then candidate Joe Biden said on the campaign trail leading up to the 2020 election.
I'm going to shut down the virus. I'll shut down the virus, not the economy. I'm not going to shut down the country, but I'm going to shut down the virus.
Earlier this week, the U.S. recorded over 1 million new COVID cases in a single day, shattering the previous record, and comes amid a testing shortage. The White House has signed 2 contracts with industry to boost the number of tests, working toward the president's goal of procuring 500 million. On the economic front, the U.S. added just 199,000 jobs in December, falling well short of expectations, according to the Labor Department. The good news for the White House, unemployment fell to 3.9%. President Biden has accepted Nancy Pelosi's invitation to give the State of the Union address on March 1st. The latest that speech has been given since 1934. The last president to deliver his State of the Union address via letter, Jimmy Carter. At the White House, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
Up next, we're wrapping up this half hour of the news at 9 with a rare contract going up for auction, and it's expected to fetch a hefty price. A 100-year-old contract, handwritten by Babe Ruth, is available for auction, and it's expected to rake in a fortune. We're talking up to $1 million. Now, the document, an endorsement deal with back company Hellerick and Bradsby, was written entirely by the then 23-year-old Ruth and is dated September 9th, 1918. Ruth signed his name, G.O.H. Ruth, 6 times on the paper, so Hellerick and Bradsby could take the best version of his John Hancock and stamp it on the bats. But coming up in the next half hour, an intense winter storm hits Pakistan and results in 22 deaths. Plus, the Girl Scouts are paying a special tribute to the late, great Betty White, and
a judge sentences Ahmaud Arbery's killers to life in prison. I'm Caroline Shively. I'll have details straight ahead.
See further into space than ever before. I'm Alexis McAdams. I'll have more on NASA's major milestone coming up.
An intense winter storm has hit Pakistan. Authorities report that at least 22 people have died near a Pakistani mountain resort after temperatures dropped sharply and snow began coming down. 10 men, 10 children, and 2 women were found dead, many after suffering from hypothermia. Some died after getting snowed in and stuck inside their vehicles, while others were killed after the heavy snowfall knocked down trees. Officials say they are working with paramilitary troops and a special military mountain unit on rescue operations. The late comedian Betty White is honored by the Girl Scouts and sees gains in a program since her death. The Girl Scouts of the Jersey Shore gave a tribute to Betty White in December, just a few weeks shy of Betty's anticipated 100th birthday, by establishing a patch program in recognition of her. The self-guided program hails White for her activism, animal rights support, and as, quote, an overall nice person. Interest in the program has about tripled since her death on December 28th, just days away from 100. Girl Scouts can still join the program for a chance to earn the commemorative patch. The parents of Ahmaud Arbery asked a judge in Georgia to show no leniency as he sentenced their son's killers on Friday. The 3 men are now facing life in prison in a second trial on the federal level. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reports.
Justice for Ahmaud Arbery. Justice for Ahmaud Arbery.
A Superior Court judge has sentenced the killers of Ahmaud Arbery to life in prison. Father and son Greg and Travis McMichael will have no chance at parole, while William Roddy Bryan could possibly be paroled when he is 82 years old. The 3 white men chased down and killed a 25-year-old black man while he was jogging through their Georgia neighborhood nearly 2 years ago.
When they couldn't sufficiently scare him or intimidate him, they killed him.
When I close my eyes, I see his execution in my mind over and over. I'll see that for the rest of my life.
The McMichaels chased Arbery in a pickup truck, then were joined by Bryan in his own truck. After 5 minutes, the 3 cornered Arbery. Bryan captured video on his cell phone of the younger McMichael shooting the unarmed man as Arbery grabbed for the shotgun and threw punches. Defense attorneys maintained their clients suspected Arbery of burglary, feared for their safety, and were attempting a legal citizen's arrest. On Friday, the judge said the men were seeking a confrontation.
He was killed because individuals here in this courtroom took the law into their own hands.
The men face a second trial next month on federal hate crime charges. Caroline Shively, Fox News.
A NASA project in the works since before the 90s, finally coming to fruition today as the space agency's most powerful telescope to date will soon provide researchers with their best images yet of deep space. Fox News correspondent Alexis McAdams has that story.
And there it is in front of us. You're looking at this animation. This is not a pre-made animation. This is based on actual data coming from the telescope to us right now.
NASA administrators breathing a sigh of relief Saturday as the James Webb Space Telescope fully deployed the last part of its primary mirror. The last step in an endeavor more than 25 years in the making.
I'm emotional about it. What an amazing milestone. We see that beautiful pattern up there in the sky now.
More powerful than the Hubble Space Telescope, the $10 billion observatory will help astronomers see further into space than ever before, scanning the light from the first stars and galaxies formed more than 13 billion years ago.
A chance to see the universe as it was perhaps only a couple 100 million years after the start, after the Big Bang.
With a giant sunshield the size of a tennis court, it was too big to fit into a rocket fully assembled, and so it had to be set up in segments. The pieces snapping into place and the observatory taking its final form, 600,000 miles above the Earth. NASA will spend the next 5 months tweaking this telescope's mirrors to bring them into focus. They expect it to send back first images sometime this summer. Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
Later on the KOAM News at 9, we're taking a look back, or taking a look rather, at the 2022 Honda Civic hatchback.
Even though we had to deal with quite a bit of cloud cover and some areas of drizzle throughout the course of the day, that did not stop temperatures from warming up quite a bit after we saw only highs in the mid to upper 30s yesterday afternoon. It wasn't a big drop during the overnight, though. Dropped back early morning highs around midnight in the upper 20s and lower 30s. But then we just soared into the lower 50s across much of the region today. Still an amazing feat despite all the cloud cover that rolled on in very early this morning, areas of drizzle to go along with it. And we are still dealing with quite a bit of cloud cover on top of the region, but not much in the way of measurable rainfall, even though we are seeing some areas of drizzle out there. For the time being, around Joplin, for the most part, no active rain, but we're still seeing some areas of mist underneath cloudy skies because of a temperature at 50 and a dew point close to that, right around 49 degrees. So it's no wonder that humidity is quite high at 96%. We have some lower to middle 40s trying to pop up in our northern counties already ahead of the approaching cold front, but the vast majority of us are in the upper 40s to lower 50s still because of the south wind still in place. It was stronger earlier in the day at about 10 to 20 miles per hour. We're going to try to hold on to that range, but you can see that northwest wind ready to kick in right over the turnpike. That's the advancing cold front ready to shake things up for Sunday. But that front's going to be kind of a good news, bad news sort of deal. First and foremost, here's where it is, right on the top of the region just about. But this is going to clear things out as we go into tomorrow. But once we get on the backside of that front and with this upper level low coming out of Colorado, not a lot of moisture with it, but that is what's going to mean a cold end to the weekend, especially with our temperatures for Sunday afternoon. So let's break that down for you. Ahead of the advancing front, there might be a little bit more moisture pulled in and a little more extra lift for at least continued areas of drizzle, maybe a few light showers out there. But the overall trend as we head towards sunrise is for all of this to die on down. And what starts as mostly cloudy skies in the morning turns partly to mostly sunny as we go throughout the course of the afternoon. So we will definitely be looking at a brighter day for Sunday, but it's behind the system again. 31 in the morning, 34 by noon. After we see midnight highs in the 40s and some of you near 50, I think we can only make the 36 for tomorrow afternoon. But once we get past a quiet Sunday night and a quiet Monday morning with lows in the lower 20s, sunny skies and a light breeze means we'll easily be back in the mid 40s for afternoon highs on Monday. So Monday doesn't look bad. The rest of the week with the jet stream setup, we get caught underneath an upper level ridge. So this was what keeps us in the 50s throughout much of the week. But this is the next system of Doug's pattern that I want to watch. This could bring rain chances our way for Friday. And depending on how things play out, that could maybe end as rain and snow chances by next Saturday morning as temperatures take yet another tumble. But 36 tomorrow afternoon, Chris, but once we get past Monday morning, we'll be back in the mid-40s Monday, 50s Tuesday through Thursday. Then the weekend system, we'll deal with that later down the road.
Yeah, we'll deal with that later. We just got to get into this week and it won't be so bad.
Yeah, but again, we just got to get past tomorrow's cold afternoon, then a good string of numbers lined up.
All right, Nick, thank you. Coming up in sports, the Kansas City Chiefs wrap up the regular season in Denver, plus Joplin aims for revenge against Webb City in the Kaminsky Classic Championship. Danny Terzer's got it all next.
We've got a rematch in the championship game of the Kaminsky Classic. Joplin hits the floor against Webb City in the title game. Last year, the Cardinals beat the Eagles, so Joplin looking for some revenge. Dupree Jackson pulls out the moves. Cardinals jump out to a big lead. Joplin stronger in the second, though, always right, drains the three. He leads the Eagles with 24. The response, Caden Turner gets the bucket through traffic. 15 points, 8 boards for him. Back to right, gets the steal, makes the uncontested three. Joplin trails by 4 at half. In the third, Trey Rhodes, aggressive to the basket for 2. He's also in double digits. Other way now, All Right lays it in. He finishes with 18. Joplin gets their first lead with under a minute to go. They pull off the win 55-52. Carl Junction and Nevada meet in a consolation game, each looking for their first win of the tournament. Nevada gets by CJ 66-63 in overtime. Evan Rhea scores a game-high 29 points for the Tigers. Also a nice day for a few Bulldogs. Kyler Perry drops 22, Josh Corey with 15, and Aiden Bard finishes with 11 points, 9 boards. The Mizzou Tigers are back in action today on their home court for their first game in over a week. A big opportunity for Missouri facing ranked Alabama. Picking it up in the second half, Trevon Brazil finishes the alley-oop. 1-point game. Later, Tigers with the lead. Javon Pickett makes the contested jumper plus the foul. And off the steal here, Pickett with the assist, this time to Kobe Brown. Tigers extend the lead to double digits. But back to Brown, the layup and one. Career high 30 points for him. Less than 30 seconds to go. Dejuan Gordon slams the door on Alabama with the steal and the dunk. Missouri pulls off a huge upset, 92-86.
But that's what it takes. You have to dig deep, and you have to believe that you're good enough. And I think our guys understand now they're good enough. But it's very hard, it's exhausting, it's taxing when you're trying to be the best against a team that has so many weapons and can score the ball, can make plays. But again, I'm happy. And I'm really happy for Kobe scoring the ball. And I thought he did well.
Kansas had their 8-game winning streak snapped tonight by a shorthanded Texas Tech group. The Jayhawks fell 75-67 on the road. Ochai Agbaji and Jalen Wilson combined for 44 of the Jayhawks' points. The schedule doesn't get any easier for Kansas. They host 11-ranked Iowa State on Tuesday. The Kansas City Chiefs are still vying for the #1 seed, and here's how they can do it. The Chiefs must win today, and the Titans must lose to the Texans tomorrow. The Chiefs on the road in Denver. Patrick Mahomes fakes, hits Travis Kelce for the score. Chiefs with the early lead. Then the response from Denver, Drew Lock scrambles into the end zone. Tie game at 7. In the second, the Broncos take the lead. Lock breaks the pocket, goes in 23 yards for the score, his second. A back and forth this one. Mahomes to Jerick McKinnon. Breaks a tackle here. He takes it in, so the Chiefs are back on top. But not for long. Melvin Gordon busts through the hole. He takes it 47 yards to the house. 21-17 Broncos. But here's the play of the game. Melvin Ingram crushes Gordon to force the fumble. Nick Bolton scoops it up, and he is off 86 yards to the house. A little too close for comfort, but the Chiefs take care of business 28-24.
Coming in, I just wanted to come in and be the best version of myself every single week. And so that's kind of what my mindset was coming in OTAs and training camp and training on to the season. So I'm just trying to do that. I'm going to continue to try to do that for our football team. I feel like it makes us better if I come in every single day and give my best efforts. So I'm going to keep doing that. Let the rest take care of it itself. Not chasing stats, just chasing wins. And so that's kind of the mindset it is. Just want to know every week and just trying to win the championship from here on out.
We're back after this.
A high-tech Honda Civic that gives you a retro vibe. Fox's Gary Gastelou takes a look at the 2022 Honda Civic hatchback.
The newest Honda Civic hatchback has a lot in common with the original from 50 years ago. As with the sedan it's based on, the 2022 Civic hatchback isn't a hybrid, isn't electric, it's powered by a 4-cylinder engine, and even in this top-of-the-line sport touring model is available with a 6-speed manual transmission. That's right, Honda is keeping it real. The $24,000 Civic hatch features a more mature look than the previous edition and a dashboard design that gives off a 1970s vibe while combining smart and simple physical controls with a much improved version of Honda's infotainment system tech. And even though this is shorter in length on the outside than the model it replaces, it has more rear seat legroom than any Civic before it. A couple of years ago, this could have passed for a mid-sized car. In fact, it might today. This offers the choice of a 158 horsepower naturally aspirated engine or the 180 horsepower turbocharged engine that's in this one. For those who prefer not to do it themselves, the front-wheel drive Civic hatch can also be ordered with a continuously variable automatic transmission that improves the combined fuel economy rating from 31 miles per gallon to 35 miles per gallon at the expense of some driving fun. But both are available with the Honda Sensing suite of driver aids that includes adaptive cruise control and a lane centering system. It's not crazy powerful, but what impresses about this is its premium ride handling that's as sharp as a scalpel and a clutch and stick that are so easy to use you don't even mind getting stuck in traffic with them. Although you'd rather not. In the 2022 Honda Civic hatchback, Gary Gastelou, Fox News.
Next, a threatened population of turtles gets a new lease on life. Indonesians help a threatened population of sea turtles by giving them a new lease on life. About 33 endangered sea turtles were released into Bali's ocean waters on Saturday after undergoing rehabilitation at a conservation and natural resources location. The protected turtles rescued by Indonesia's Navy from poachers in December. Turtles are also subject to population loss from disposed waste such as plastics, loss of beach nesting sites, and getting caught in fishing gear. Indonesia has become a haven for illegal poaching due to demand in places like Malaysia, Vietnam, and China. Something you always want to, try and save the world. Cameron, when's the last time you saved the world? Have you done anything like that lately? I have not. He has not. If you couldn't hear him, he has not. But you got to get to that. Get out there and save a little piece of your world. And we'll tell you about it if you do tomorrow on the KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. That is our time for now. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, we're going to see you back here tomorrow night at 9. Thanks for making us part of your night.